Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of Let's Love Again. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Folktales podcast here, so you never miss the next chapter of this story. Now let's dive in. 30 minutes later, Liang Wei's car sliced through the Shanghai night like a blade honed by rage and regret. City lights shimmered across his windshield, but he didn't see them. His mind was a storm. His jaw clenched, knuckles white on the steering wheel. Zhen's message still echoed like a drumbeat in his head. "Sir, we found her. She lives in a small residential complex near the riverfront. The bodyguards are already there." His heart thundered with a panic he hadn't felt in years, not even when he lost her. Back then, his father had told him that Claudia had walked away, that she had taken the money and vanished. He was panicking because he knew what his father can do, and so he had to get there fast before his father's men get there. The hallway outside Claudia's apartment was hushed, save for the faint hum of a distant elevator and the low pulse of city life drifting through high windows. May stepped out, cardigan draped over her shoulders, reaching for a delivery box at their door. But her steps faltered. For men in black suits stood like sentinels, tall and still, eyes sharp beneath their earpieces. She blinked. "Who are?" Footsteps interrupted her. She turned, startled. Liang Wei, in a tailored black coat, approached like a force of nature, steady, silent, purposeful. Her breath caught. "Liang Wei," she said, stunned. He gave a brief nod. "May." She hesitated, heart racing, then unlocked the door and stepped aside. "Come in." Inside the softly lit living room, Claudia sat in her wheelchair, her laptop balanced on her knees, blueprints glowing on the screen. A single candle flickered on the table beside her. She looked up and froze. Time halted. Wei stepped inside. Their eyes locked, but neither spoke. May, feeling the temperature in the room drop 10 degrees, quickly slipped away, giving them space. Claudia's hands gripped the armrests, voice cold and razor-sharp. "What are you doing here?" Wei stepped forward, eyes never leaving hers. "I know the truth now," he said quietly. "I know who caused your accident." Her lips parted, but no words came. "It was my father," he continued. "He's the reason you vanished. He's the reason I lost you." Her breath hitched. Her throat tightened as she searched his eyes, desperately, fearfully, but there was no lie. No hesitation. She knew. She believed him. "I went against him, Claudia," he said, voice rough now. "I would rather lose his empire than lose the only woman I ever truly loved. But because of that choice," he glanced toward the door, "we're in danger. All of us. We have to leave now." Before she could respond, gunshots shattered the silence. The walls trembled with a sound. Somewhere outside, men were shouting. May came sprinting from her room, panic etched across her face. "What's happening?" Without hesitation, Wei lifted Claudia gently from her wheelchair, cradled her like glass, and laid her down beside the couch. Then, shielding her with his body, he turned toward May. "Get down now." May dropped to the floor. Wei looked back at Claudia, eyes soft but burning. "You're both safe," he whispered. "My men will hold them off." The sound of gunfire grew louder. The bark of rifles. Screams. Scuffling boots. Claudia, trembling, pulled herself closer to him. "How did they find me?" she whispered. "I thought I hid so well." Wei exhaled bitterly. "My father had someone watching you the moment you walked into Orchid Crest. He didn't act, because I hadn't gone back to you. But now that I have, I'm a useless pawn to him." Claudia nodded slowly, tears prickling the edges of her eyes. May, from the floor, called out, "Are you sure your men can handle them?" Wei's voice was firm. "Yes." And then silence. A long, stretching silence. A knock. A click, and the front door opened. One of Wei's bodyguards stepped inside, blood trailing down his arm, a grim expression on his face. "Sir." All hostiles eliminated. But more could follow. "We must leave immediately." Wei nodded. "Get the car ready." He turned to May. "Pack only the essentials. You have 4 minutes." 10 minutes later, the convoy rolled out, disappearing into Shanghai's sleeping veins. Claudia sat quietly in the backseat of Wei's car, staring out the window, the lights of the city smearing past like watercolors. She said nothing. Neither did Wei. May rode behind them in the second vehicle, with the bodyguards. Meanwhile, a black van pulled into the complex they had just abandoned. Inside, another set of masked men slipped into the now empty apartment. Bodies lined the hallway, blood seeping into the floor. The leader pulled out his phone. "They're gone. The first team was wiped out. Should we track them?" A cold, emotionless voice responded. It was Liang Rongsheng. Do not chase them, he ordered. That boy is smart. He's taken her somewhere we can't reach. Leave the place. But clean up the mess. Yes, sir. Then the line cut. The man pocketed the phone and turned to his men. Clean up. 10 minutes later, not a trace remained. The safe house was in the wooded hills outside Shanghai. It was a glass and stone villa nestled among the trees, invisible from the road below. Wei helped Claudia into the house and ensured Mei was safely escorted to one of the guest rooms. Then quietly, he wheeled Claudia into a small study with warm lighting and wide glass windows that opened to a tranquil pond under the moonlight. This place, Claudia murmured. It's beautiful. Wei poured her a glass of water. It was supposed to be a place of relaxation. Now it's a refuge. Claudia stared at her reflection in the glass. I never thought I'd see you again, she said. I thought you'd forgotten me. Wei crouched in front of her and handed her the glass. I need to know, he whispered. What really happened that night, after the bridge? What did my father do? Her voice came slow, shaky, but each word cut deep. 5 years ago, the morning of that day, I left the library, headed to the bus station. She swallowed hard. A man approached me, said someone in the car wanted to talk to me. I refused, but he made it clear that I didn't have a choice. So I got in. Wei stiffened. Your father was there, sitting calmly in the back seat like a king. He took me to a cafe, said he admired my ambition, but he wants me to end the relationship we have, and that I was a distraction. Then offered me a briefcase of money. Wei's jaw clenched. I refused. Told him I loved you. That money meant nothing. She took a shaky breath. That's when he threatened me. Said he'd pull my scholarship. That I'd be deported. I didn't have parents, Wei. I grew up in an orphanage. That scholarship, it was everything. Her voice broke. So I did what he wanted. I met you on that bridge, and left you. A tear slid down her cheek. I didn't go far. I hid and watched you after I left. Saw how broken you were. It broke me. She closed her eyes. I got into a taxi to go back to the dorms, but a truck slammed into us. I blacked out. Woke up 2 weeks later in a clinic. My legs gone. My scholarship gone. Everything I worked for destroyed. And it all happened because I loved you. Wei was silent. His heart ripped in two. I'm sorry, he whispered, voice hoarse. I should have known. Should have investigated. But I trusted him. I believed him when he said you took the money and ran. He reached for her hand. I'm so sorry, Claudia. But even after all these years, I still love you and I still want to build my future with you. She touched his cheek gently, tears in her eyes. It's all right, she whispered. I never stopped loving you either, Liang Wei. And I never regretted it. He leaned in and kissed her. The kiss was full of lost years, broken promises, and a love that never died. For the first time in years, Claudia felt something bloom in her chest, peace. Later that night, Wei took her to a quiet room tucked at the end of the villa. Drawings, sketches, and their pictures they took from their university days lined the walls. Their past. Their memories. Together, they watched in silence, surrounded by the remnants of a love they once had and one they could have again. While the two lovers were catching up that night, the Xiao estate had held a strange calm. In her daughter's bedroom, Xiao Rin stood by the window, her face pale in the moonlight. She turned as the door opened, revealing Xiao Lifan, still dressed in her indoor training wear. Rin took a trembling step forward, reaching into her pocket. A small pen drive glinted under the light. Mother, what is this? Lifan asked, confusion clouding her gaze. Rin didn't answer immediately. Instead, she placed the pen drive into her daughter's hand, closing Lifan's fingers around it with silent urgency. Everything, she whispered. This holds everything your father has done, bank fraud, illegal business deals, embezzlement even. She swallowed hard. Even the night he murdered his own brother. Lifan gasped. He told me he died of a heart attack. He didn't, Rin whispered. I saw it. I filmed it. I was going to expose him, but I waited too long. Why now? Lifan asked, her voice trembling. Because when you confronted your father tonight, I realized I could have fought him long ago. But I loved him. I believed he could change. A tear slid down her cheek. But I was wrong. And now, I won't survive this. But you might. No, don't say that, Lifan's voice broke. If anything happens to me, run, Lifan. Don't look back. That pen drive is your proof, your weapon, your only shield. She pulled her daughter into one final embrace. I gave him so many chances. But he's planning something. I feel it. And she was right. The next morning at the Xiao estate, Xiao Minghua stood alone in his study. His face was as lifeless as the heavy antique gun behind the glass. His thoughts simmered in cold fury. The butler had told him everything. About the conversation between his wife and daughter. That run had betrayed him. That she had kept the footage of his darkest crime, his brother's execution, as insurance. He had handled the butler swiftly. One bullet to the chest. No evidence was left behind. Now it was time to deal with his wife and next, his disobedient daughter. There was no place in his empire for traitors who knew too much. Elsewhere, on a riverside path, Zhao Lifan jogged through the morning breeze. Her headphones buzzed with soft music, until her phone vibrated urgently. She answered, breathless. "Mother, don't come home, Lifan." Ren's voice came through in a frantic whisper. "What? Why? What's going on?" In the background, crashes, a scuffle. A chair overturned. Then, "Put down the gun, Minghua. Please. Don't. Mother." Then the line went dead. Lifan stopped running. Her breath hitched. Her mother was gone, and it was her father who had done it. And now she was next. She didn't cry. She didn't think. She ran. Every shadow felt like a knife. Every streetlight a spotlight. A black sedan tailed her fast. Its headlights locked on her like predators' eyes. She darted into alleyways, jumped fences, tore across narrow market roads. Twice, gunshots cracked behind her, whistling past her ears. In desperation, she flagged down a taxi. "Drive. Fast. I'll pay triple." The driver hesitated for only a second. One glance in the rearview mirror, and he floored the gas. For the next 10 minutes, the car sped through Shanghai's backstreets like a hunted animal. Finally, the SUV vanished behind them. The driver pulled into a gated residence. "You're safe here?" Tears brimming in her eyes, she nodded. "Yes, thank you." Liang Jun had just stepped out of the shower, towel around his neck, when a frantic knocking hit his door. He opened it, and Zhao Lifan collapsed into his arms. "Lifan? What happened?" She was shaking uncontrollably, eyes wide with panic. "My father. He killed her. He killed my mother. And now he's trying to kill me." Jun's mind reeled, but before he could speak. Gunshots, shouting. He dragged her inside and slammed the door. From the window, he saw SUVs skidding to a stop. Masked men jumped out, rifles raised. They were under siege. "Get down," he shouted. Lifan clung to him, sobbing. "I don't want to die, Jun. I'm scared." He cupped her face, trying to steady her. "You won't. But I need you to trust me." But she couldn't stop trembling. So he did what he had to. A precise tap to the nerve beneath her ear. Her eyes rolled, and she collapsed into his arms. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "But I can't protect you if you're panicking." He raced to the bookshelf in the library and pressed a hidden latch. Click. A panel slid open, revealing a narrow, dimly lit passage. His father never knew it existed. Jun had built it himself years ago, for this very moment. He carried Lifan down the corridor, gunfire echoing above. His heart pounded. Faster. Louder. He reached the underground garage, opened the back of a black Jeep, and laid her down gently. Lifan stirred, her brows twitching. "Not yet," he muttered, pressing another point to keep her unconscious. "You'll panic again." He shut the door, jumped into the driver's seat, and peeled out of the garage into the morning haze. On the rooftop, one of the gunmen spotted them. "There! Black Jeep, they're escaping." The SUV roared to life and gave chase. Jun's eyes narrowed. He weaved through lanes, narrowly avoiding cars, accelerating hard. In the mirror, the SUV was getting closer and closer. Then crash. A delivery truck swerved and blocked the SUV, sending it smashing into a lamppost. Jun exhaled. They were safe. For now. Back at the Xiao mansion, Xiao Minghua sat in his study, a crystal glass of scotch in hand. He swirled the amber liquid slowly, eyes fixed on the dried blood stain on the carpet where his wife had fallen. A knock sounded. "Come in." A guard entered, eyes lowered. "She escaped, sir. She's with the Liang boy." Minghua didn't move. His jaw tightened. Then crack, the glass shattered in his hand, shards slicing his palm. Blood dripped silently. He stood, seething. "You had 5 men on that job. And you let a girl get away?" The guard trembled. I'm sorry." "Shut up." Minghua stormed to his safe, pulled out a burner phone, and dialed a memorized number. A cold voice answered on the 3rd ring. "I need to disappear. Immediate departure. Private jet. New identity. Understood, came the reply. Minghua hung up, staring at himself in the mirror. And for the first time, the mask of power cracked. Not from guilt, but from rage. That same morning, inside a sleek black limousine that cruised through the city like a shadow, Liang Rongxing sat in silence, his face unreadable, carved from steel and ambition. Beside him, his secretary scrolled through a digital tablet, waiting. The only sound was the low hum of tires slicing over asphalt. Then Rongxing's phone buzzed. He answered immediately. A low voice crackled on the other end. Sir, we failed to eliminate your second son. He escaped the penthouse, with Xiao Lifan. Rongxing's jaw tensed. His eyes narrowed. And the shareholders? Handled. Both of them. The recording's been sent to your private line. As you instructed, the executioners matched the height and facial profiles of Liang Wei and Liang Jun. The footage will raise enough doubt to destroy them both. A beat of silence. Rongxing exhaled slowly through his nose. Good, he said at last, calm cold. Then he ended the call. Without turning, he addressed his secretary. Contact the media. Every major network, newspaper, and financial outlet. I have an official statement to deliver after the shareholders' meeting. The secretary nodded silently. The top-floor boardroom buzzed with low murmurs and uneasy glances. The long mahogany table gleamed beneath crystal pendant lights, but the tension in the air choked out any sense of elegance. 10 shareholders sat around the table. 2 chairs remained empty, belonging to the men who had publicly opposed Rongxing's new vision earlier that morning. The door opened and Liang Rongxing entered, flanked by 2 personal guards and his secretary. He strode to the head of the table and placed both hands on the polished wood, meeting each shareholder's gaze. His voice was steady, controlled. Gentlemen, today, I bring forth critical changes. He straightened. Firstly, Liang Wei is no longer CEO. Gasps broke through the silence. One shareholder stood. What? Without a vote? He is also no longer my son, Rongxing continued, unshaken. He betrayed this family. For that, he is disowned. Murmurs rippled. Confusion. Fear. Another man spoke, hesitant. But Liang Wei, he built the South Korean division into the highest-earning branch in just 3 years. He was a liability, Rongxing cut in sharply. And liabilities are removed. He turned to his secretary. Bring him in. Moments later, the door opened again. A tall young man entered, 25, poised and dressed in an all-black tailored suit. His hair was slicked back, and his features bore the same sharp, cold precision as Rongxing himself. Whispers erupted around the table. Who is that? He looks like Wei. I've never seen him before. Rongxing stepped aside. This is my son, my rightful heir. From this day forward, he is CEO of Liang Conglomerate. The young man offered a controlled bow. My name is Liang Tianhao, he said calmly. I will lead this company with unwavering discipline and results, something my older brother failed to uphold. A heavy silence followed. Then one of the senior board members gathered the courage to speak. But this goes against company protocol. The board must vote. Liang Wei's removal cannot be declared unilaterally. Rongxing raised a remote and pressed a button. The wall screen behind him came to life. A grainy, time-stamped surveillance video began to play. 2 masked men entered a dark underground garage. Though the footage was imperfect, the build, posture, and movements were eerily similar to Liang Wei and Liang Jun. In the next moments, the 2 men executed 2 others, faces clearly visible. The very shareholders who had opposed Rongxing earlier that morning. Gasps. A chair scraped backward. This is fabricated, one man stammered. It can't be them. Rongxing's eyes were ice. I thought so too, but the camera doesn't lie. He let the video play long enough for every man in the room to feel its weight. Then silence. He clicked the screen off. No one will question my decision again. The boardroom fell still. Each man processed what he'd just seen, what it meant to cross a man like Liang Rongxing. They understood and they stayed silent. Rongxing gave a small, satisfied smile. Meeting adjourned. Media briefing begins in 15 minutes. He turned and walked out of the room. Liang Tianhao followed.